Hill City, Minneola, South Central, Fowler, Hodgeman County, Ingalls, Moscow, and Healy were all represented at the first annual Hodgeman County Invitational Volleyball Tournament in Jetmore. The tournament consisted of 2 pools, with the top 2 teams in each pool advancing to a semifinals bracket. In pool play, Hodgeman County started things off by beating Ingalls 25-8 and 25-14. Moscow lost their first game to Healy 15-25, but came back fierce in the second game 25-20 before taking the match in the third game 25-16. Hodgeman County continued to prove their superiority by beating Healy 25-2 and 25-13. Ingalls then stepped up to Moscow and narrowly beat them 25-22 and 25-20. Hodgeman County then brought the pain to Moscow, beating them with a whopping 25-3 and 25-17. Healy and Ingalls had some back and forth, with the first game going to Ingalls 19-25 and the second and third going to Healy 25-22 and 25-19. Hill City started out by beating Minneola 25-18 and 25-9. South Central won their first game against Fowler 25-17, then lost the second by only 4 points. However, they came out victorious in the last game, scoring 25 points to Fowler's 14. Then it was Hill City's turn to face off against Fowler, losing the first game 25-22, but coming back on the second and third games 25-15 and 25-18. South Central took on Minneola, defeating them 25-16 and 25-12, but then succumbed to Hill City after 3 very close games. Fowler then went on to score a decisive victory against Minneola, 25-13 and 25-19. Tallying up the scores, Hill City, Ingalls, Hodgeman County, and South Central advanced to bracket play. First up, Hill City versus Ingalls. The Lady Bulldogs managed an early lead in the first game, while the Lady Ringnecks made some initial mistakes. Then was back and forth for a while as Ingalls matched Hill City point for point. But after a few plays, it was clear that Hill City was ramping up. Gaining more and more momentum, they beat Ingalls 25-19 and 25-18. Next, the Hodgeman County Lady Longhorns versus the South Central Lady Timberwolves. These 2 teams were very evenly matched, and just as Hodgeman County would get into a streak, the Lady T-Wolves would come back with an answer and vice versa. Hodgeman County took the first game with only a 3-point lead, and when the second game started, it was as if no break had happened at all. Both teams jumped right back in and worked extremely hard for every point. In the end, the T-Wolves pulled ahead after an arduous 26-point game. Finally, it came down to the third game, and both teams knew that the final was within reach, but they also knew that defeat would mean going home empty-handed. Another grueling game followed as both teams refused to let the other score. However, by that point, Hodgeman County had accumulated enough momentum to create a game-winning gap between them, advancing with a hard-fought score of 25-21. And so we arrived at the final with the Hill City Lady Ringnecks taking on the host team for the first place bragging rights. The first game was very exciting as each team tried to outplay and outthink the other. It seemed that with each point scored, the competition level of the game became progressively more intense. Finally, the Lady Longhorns managed to create a 2-point lead, which they rode to victory in the first game. Second game of the final. We won't make it too suspenseful. The Hodgeman County Lady Longhorns took this one. In the end, it came down to momentum. Even in previous games, Hill City was able to accelerate their game intensity to beat the other teams, but the Lady Longhorns stepped into the second game as though the first had never ended, and the Lady Ringnecks were just not able to catch up. Hodgeman County took the #1 spot and set a precedent for all future invitational tournaments.